Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. Can't get much worse than this, right? I'm starting on episode 70 of Ace of the Diamond. Last two episodes were pretty rough. Pretty rough to get to. I'm glad, as some of you have noted in the comments, that I'm glad you all noted that you all felt the same way. I'm glad I'm not the only one that struggled through episode 69. That episode was rough. It's difficult because we all know Sawamura because we're seeing the story from his point of view. He's our main character. We get it. But seeing other characters not fully grasp just how far gone our poor Sunshine Boy is really difficult. And so I had to take some time off, like a week off, to the day exactly before I got back to this next set of episodes because it was just painful. I was like, I try to watch 3 episodes every week, and I'm like, sometimes I get really excited and I'll maybe do it like, every 3 or 4 days. But then, I had to take a week off because I was like, oh, this is hard. And I feel like we're not out of it yet. Like, we still have 6 episodes left of the season, and I'm like, I'm sure things will get a little bit worse going into this set of episodes and then maybe start to turn around. I'm like, hopefully, maybe. But I hate seeing protagonists suffer, especially when they're really likable protagonists and you know that it's not warranted, but you get why it's happening. And so I'm really sad for our Sunshine Boy. But yeah, so I haven't felt really great the last couple days. I've been slowly getting better. So I've got this giant jug of juice that I'm going to be gnawing on as we go through this. But I felt better today. And so I'm like, okay, I feel better today. Why not? Why not watch Ace of the Diamond and just it's like I'm coming out of my sickness and I'm just gonna go back into Ace of the Diamond. It's like episode 69 led me into my sickness and this is leading me out of it. So I'm gonna view it that way. But this episode's called Next Stage. I've been told again not to watch the ED until after episode 71. So I'm gonna get to see the ED this episode, which I'm excited about, but just not yet. So, but yeah, I was not looking good at all last episode, and so I just want them to sit down and have like a kumbaya session with our boy, but knowing this show probably isn't going to happen that easily. But I just want an intervention, like a mediation session. Do like Run with the Wind. In Run with the Wind, they sat down with Kakaru, they had a big circle and they talked it out and it was wonderful. I just want that for this series, but Run with the Wind is kind of an exception to the rule, so I feel like that's not immediately going to happen, but we shall see. So yeah, let's dive in, shall we? Can't possibly get any worse than what it has been, right? Right? So anyway, we're going to start Ace of the Diamond episode 70 here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Oh. I don't know how to feel because on the one hand, I think the feeling of this set of episodes is frustration. Frustration, I think, is the element of this episode. Oh man. Oh. Okay, y'all. We're doing this. Okay. So y'all told me when Ochiai came on the scene, you're like, oh, he's a pretty controversial character in this show, and people have mixed opinions about him. I have mixed opinions. Because I get where he's coming from. But it's such a difference of opinions. It's the craziest thing. Oh. Okay, so we need to talk about this. Yeah, so these 3 episodes, oh buddy, these were interesting. Very interesting. We got 3 more. We got 1 more set before the season finale, and I have a feeling it's all gonna blow up. Oh, so yeah, Kataoka's getting frustrated because he believes in this team, and that's the thing. Kataoka believes in the team, and he wants the team to do well. And my thing is, what I wonder is, I don't think we ever knew from the start. We were told Kataoka was a pitcher, right? We've been told Kataoka was a pitcher. But was Kataoka ever the ace? Was that ever a thing? Have we talked about this? Was Kataoka the ace of his team? Because I'm wondering if he was or not. I could see how he wouldn't have been, because he has so much faith in Sawamura And it's not just him, it's him, Chris, and Miyuki. They all have faith in Sawamura. It's just trying to figure out how to best help Sawamura. And I think Sawamura respects Chris so much that he has the best approach to it. Kataoka is an intimidating figure, and Miyuki just can't communicate well yet. So it's harder. But yeah, we need to talk about this. Okay, we need to go episode by episode because there's quite a lot with this show. What I love about this anime is, of all the sports anime I've ever watched, I've never been this frustrated by a series and its decisions. And the funny thing is, you get exactly why these decisions are made. They make perfect logical sense. But the fact that Sawamura is our main character and we've gotten so attached to him, here's the thing. Sawamura is such a likable protagonist, and you instantly connect with him and his struggles, that you want him to do well. He is the underdog coming into this, and you want him to do well. You want him to become the ace. And I've never seen a sports anime where it just hasn't fallen into place immediately for him. And it really hasn't. I mean, in other series like Slam Dunk or Haikyuu or Run with the Wind, the main characters, they either are naturally gifted prodigies and they either don't realize, like Sagaraki, Hanamichi in Slam Dunk, he's a prodigy, he just doesn't realize it. And then over the course of the series, he realizes it. Kakaru in Run with the Wind is a prodigy. He kind of realizes it, he's just got some mental issues to get through to get back in the game. And then in Haikyuu, Hinata's probably the most relatable character to Sawamura because Hinata isn't a prodigy, and Hinata does have to work for what he gets. But the difference is that Hinata doesn't have the ace in the team during Haikyuu is indisputable because it's Asahi. Asahi's the ace. But Hinata's case in Haikyuu is that he's not trying to become the ace. It's Asahi. We know that. So Hinata doesn't really have that struggle. His struggle is more helping his team win. That's more of his struggle. It's getting to figure out his own strengths and helping his team win. Because his team is so small, they really don't have a lot of options. I mean, Kageyama's the setter, and there's nobody other than Sugawara that's really challenging him for that. So you have that situation. But Hinata doesn't really have any competition in Haikyuu. It's just himself. It's Hinata becoming the best version of himself to help his team the best way that he can. That's Haikyuu. But in this, Sawamura does have competition. The ace is a spot that's viable. And Sawamura, it's not that his team can't do well without him. They clearly can because they've won these last 3 games. But it's that Sawamura is our protagonist and we're following him on this journey. And we want him to become the ace. We want him to become the lead player on the team. And this series is not making it easy. No, not at all. These episodes were so frustrating. So, Sawamura getting taken out. I thought at first we wouldn't have to see that handoff. I really thought we were going to avoid it. I was like, it's fine. We're not going to see it. It's totally okay. No. We're not privy to that. They make us watch every damn minute of it, and it's hard. That's so hard. Watching him crying going off the mound, and him, like, having that Aaron Yeager style laugh cry moment. I was like, oh my god, where he just slams the ball into Furuya's mitt and walks off. It's like, ugh. It's so hard. It's so hard. And we'll get to the idea of the yips. So I find it curious that we have the idea of the coach for hire. And Todoroki makes a comment. He's like, I'm just a coach for hire. If I don't win, I'll lose my job. So that's a really good way of putting it because he's not on salary. Todoroki is really just coaching so his team can win. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, Todoroki doesn't care so much about how everybody does. He's concerned about Raichi. He's concerned Raichi is his meal ticket. Or he wants Raichi to be his own meal ticket. So his dad, Coach Todoroki, wants Raichi to do well so that he'll get scouted and make a lot of money. And so he won't have to struggle through life. He can, go to the pros and have it made. Like what he wants better for his son than he got. Get it? And in order for him to do that, his team has to win. So that's kind of Todoroki's motivation, is that I want to make my son the best batter possible, but he also needs to have a strong team in order for them to win, because one person can't. Here's the thing. That's the thing of it all. One person can't win at all. And I think that's Ochiai's biggest thing, is he's like, oh, well, if our ace is the strongest, our team won't have a problem. And Kataoka doesn't believe that. We're going to talk about that. But yeah, it's so interesting, right? So Todoroki's whole thing is, I can't just rely on my son. My team has to do well too. So I'm going to make sure we all win. So he's coaching the best team that he can, but simultaneously he's trying to make Raichi the best batter possible. I find that curious because at this point Kataoka is just on borrowed time since he's resigned. And I don't know. Maybe Kataoka will have second thoughts now that Ochiai is like, when I get the team, we're going to do things much differently. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about episode 71. Holy shit. Okay. Oh, September sky indeed. Okay, so the yips. I didn't realize the yips was a thing because, again, I'm new to baseball. I don't know terminology unless y'all tell me, unless I see it in the show. But I'm guessing the yips is like a mental state where you can't get past it. Where you can't get past this block, this mental block. And for Sawamura, it is very much him hitting that guy. He can't get past it. I kind of wish he would talk to the pitcher that hit Tamba, to get his insight on it. But Chris Senpai showing up. At first, I was afraid Chris Senpai, I call him that. I was afraid Chris showing up, that's the last time we'd see him. They'd be like, oh, Sawamura's got it. And he was just going to leave him. And I was like, no, Sawamura needs somebody to talk to him. But he doesn't. He ends up coming back. But yeah, so Sawamura having that mental break, and Kanemaru comments that one of his teammates had the same thing happen to him, and he couldn't pitch to first base, and it was just like a mental block. He couldn't get over it. So I felt so bad for Sawamura in these episodes. I felt just as bad for him as I did in the last set of episodes, but we'll talk about that. So we cut to Inashiro, and here's the thing. I find it, at first I was like, oh, why are we cutting Inashiro? Because I was like, they've got second at nationals. Why are we paying attention to them? Not that I don't like them, but I'm like, come on, they're doing great. And our boys at Seidou are struggling. But I really am glad we cut to them because there were some really important things that came out of that segue, other than the Carlos shirtless agenda that continues. I love that they're just, the show's like, oh, shirtless Carlos, animate that. We're not cutting that scene. But Fuku-chan. So Fuku-chan becoming captain and them establishing that Fuku is not a starting member. He probably won't even be on the roster. But he's the one responsible enough to be captain. Because, yeah, here's the thing. Mei is not going to be captain. No. Mei is, and that kind of goes back to the whole discussion we've had on Patreon and in the comments about Sawamura. I don't think Sawamura would become captain. I don't. I think Sawamura is kind of in the same boat as Mei. And y'all talked about Furuya. I guess he's kind of in the same boat as Mei too. They're egoists. They're big time, like, high maintenance players, and they're good, but they're not really. The team trusts Mei as the ace, but Mei doesn't have that stability to be the captain. He just doesn't have that stability, right? He doesn't have the stability. Whereas Fuku-chan is the one responsible enough. He's going to hold the team together and be the anchor. And Harada kind of says, I'm not going to be around next year. I was kind of the anchor for my team. And it shows Carlos wandering around half naked, not caring. He can't be the captain. Mei is too hot-headed and egoist and selfish. He can't be the captain. Shirakawa, he's threatening to kill the underclassmen. He can't be the captain. He's like, our key core cleanup players are not exactly in the right mentality to be a captain, so Fuku-chan's going to be great. Do this. I also find it interesting that Mei hasn't been pitching. That Konitomo hasn't had him pitch. That he's got to gear up for nationals next year and for the tournament, and that he wants him to recover from nationals, so he's not pitching. I find that seeing the different coaching strategies in this show is really interesting because it shows how each of these, like, none of the coaches are necessarily wrong in what they're doing, but they're all doing things differently, and I find that interesting. So Konitomo's thing is just having, and I like that he has Mei sit in the bullpen because it's allowing him to slowly get a relationship with this new catcher, and we don't get his name. He seems interesting because he has an interesting mentality here. At first, Mei makes the comment about him. He's like, oh, you just hold your mitt out and I'll pitch wherever you want it. And the guy comments, he's like, oh, so am I just like a wall to you? And then he corrects him. He's like, I don't review you as Harada's replacement yet, but we'll work towards it. And so you can tell the catcher's like, I'm not Harada. I'm not going to be his replacement. Is that how you're looking at me? So that's going to be an interesting dynamic. That's going to be very interesting because May needs somebody to ground him because Diva is high maintenance and he needs somebody to anchor him to the ground. And so he's like, I'm selfish and I do this and this. And he said a brass player. I'm like, was it a guy or a girl, May? Just saying. Didn't say a girl. I'm just throwing it out there. But yeah, I also a first year, May. Really? You're going to be a third year? Huh? But yeah. I find that catcher interesting. I'm curious that if we'll get his name, but he's an interesting player to be new to Inashiro's team. This seems interesting. But yeah, Sawamura at the end of this episode, like he wasn't his jovial self, and all the other players are noticing it, that he's just kind of this gloomy presence and was reading these books about people taking their own lives and everything. It's like, oh my God, to the point where everybody's noticing. And they make the comment about what a contrast it is that at the start of this season, 70 episodes ago, Sawamura was like, I'm going to be the ace. And now Sawamura doesn't see the ace as being a possibility. And it's heartbreaking because we, the audience, want Sawamura to become the ace. And for him not to even think it's possible anymore, that's so heartbreaking that I hate it. I hate it so much. I want Sawamura to be the ace so bad, and I appreciate this show is making us work for it. It is making us as an audience and making Sawamura as a protagonist work for it. I appreciate this show is going through the trouble, but here's the thing. We're going to talk about this, about the hidden ace. The hidden ace. We're going to talk about this. So episode 71. Episode 71, I have the most notes. Well, no, episode 72 I have a lot of notes on too. Episode 70 was fine. Episode 71, Kuromochi, his conversation with Miyuki right off the bat. Oh my gosh, yes. That Miyuki is saying contradictory things. And it just shows that Miyuki is struggling how to communicate what he wants to do. And Kuromochi's like, we need to talk to Sawamura. He's the light of this team. He gives us this hope and we need him. And Miyuki's like, no, we need to focus on becoming better. And we also need Sawamura to become better. And he's like, those are contradictory things. So it's like Sawamura is a part of the team. And I feel like it's going to Ochiai versus Kataoka's coaching. It's like, do we all pull everyone together as a team? Or do we just focus on the talented players and everybody else can just fall behind however the chips fall? I don't know, but I'm glad that Kuromochi had that conversation with Miyuki to be like, look, you are the captain. You've got to do something. You've got to, and I feel like Miyuki struggles, how do I communicate to Sawamura? Because Miyuki's trying a lot of different things. Like, he tried, like, in the batting cage, his hand, like, softly on Sawamura's back, like, come on, it's okay. And then in the cafeteria, he was like, come on, Baka, like, figure it out. And so it's like he's trying to read Sawamura and figure out how to communicate with him. Miyuki's just not very good at it. So it's I give him a little bit of a break towards the end of this episode. I was like, okay, Miyuki, you've got good intentions. You're trying, I guess. So thank goodness we got in the easy bracket. I feel like that was an intentional mangaka decision that we're going to get in the easy bracket, but it's not been easy so far. And I think that's to show why Kataoka gets so pissed off at the end of this last episode, 72, because he's like, you were against an easy team and you barely won. Like, what are we doing? We're not going to do well at all in the fall if we can't make through this. Moving Sawamura, that moment when Kataoka told him to just run, oh, my, like, heart fell to my stomach. I was like, oh. Because Sawamura felt useless. And I get why Kataoka was doing it. He's like, I'm going to improve his will. He's like, if this kid is the same kid I saw at the beginning of this season, he's gonna hold his head up and want to work towards it. And he says that was the case by the end of him running. He held his head up like he wanted to keep going. If he'd given up, then it would have been noticeable. And so he moves him to the outfield. So he's not just going to give it to Sawamura. He's going to make him work towards it. And Tojo being so nice. Tojo is such a sweetheart. I love him. He's so sweet. And he's like being kind to Sawamura. I'm like, honey, I love you. Yes, please. So, Furuya's the ace. That was the spoiler in the ED. Furuya's the ace. I'm not surprised. I'm not. It's frustrating. What's frustrating is, in any other show, Furuya could be our protagonist, right? Furuya coming up from the sticks, having no team, having no support, but having a talent. Furuya is like the Hanamichi from Slam Dunk. He has this prodigy talent. He just didn't have any outlet for it. And then he finds the outlet for it. And, but Furuya is also kind of like, he's also kind of like Hanamichi's rival in Slam Dunk too. So it's funny that. He's also like, oh god, I can't remember his name. I'm so focused on Furuya. But yeah, he's kind of like Hanamichi's rival in there too. But anyway, so Furuya's the ace. Makes sense. And Sawamura, I find it funny that Sawamura is number 18. Because Sanada's number 18, isn't he? Isn't he? I thought Sanada was number 18 for Yakushi back in the original game when they met them. I thought that he was number 18, but he's the actual ace, right? So my thing is, I'm like, I just wanted Sawamura and Sanada to have a talk, because it's like, look, no, yeah, you got the ace for Yakuchi, but Sanada is the actual ace, even if he doesn't have the right number, right? So even though Furuya has the ace number, that doesn't mean that spiritually Sawamura could be the ace, you know? So I was like, I wanted Sawamura to make that connection, or for someone to make that connection and tell Sawamura, but it hasn't happened yet. But I was like, So again, they're making him work for it, you know? And the idea that Kataoka doesn't stop believing in him. He doesn't stop believing in Sawamura, even when he struggled so much. And Ochiai, when Ochiai was like, I don't know why Kataoka is so focused on a pitcher so useless. I'm like, but here's the thing. Ochiai has only seen Sawamura at his worst. He's only seen him post Inashiro when he started getting the slump. He's not seen Sawamura when he was at his best and had all of his potential. So I feel like I want Ochiai to see Sawamura doing well and seeing what he can do, and he just hasn't reached that point yet. That's what I want him to see. I want him to see that, but we haven't gotten there. I like that Rio, we got a lot of third year focus in these set of episodes of what they're all up to. And I almost didn't recognize Tamba at first because his hair's grown out. I was like, who's that guy standing with him? But it's Tamba. His hair's just growing back in. But I like that Rio says fall is about discovering new problems. And that's such a cool way of looking at it, because every fall you have a new team dynamic because your third years have left. So fall is about reorganizing and rebuilding and figuring out what the problems were and then working to solve them. And I think that's really cool. I think that's really cool that that's kind of what this has become for them, figuring it out. So the idea of Furuya being seen as the ace, and Furuya wants to be seen as the ace. That's the thing, right? And then I have on here Kataoka is, what do I have on here? Kataoka batting. Oh, when he batted against Sawamura. Yeah, that's hard too, because Sawamura knows what his problem is, but it's hard. It's one thing to know the problem that you're having, and it's another thing to work on the problem, right? It's one thing to recognize the mental block, but like Miyuki says in the episode, he's like, it's hard to communicate when people have a mental blockage, because you want to communicate the right way, and he's like, I'm trying to find the right way to tell Sawamura, like, how do I do this? So I'm so interested in, so yeah, Ochiai, we need to talk about this. I'm looking at my notes. Ochiai wants to focus everything on Furuya. He like wants to put all the chips on the table and be like, he wants to foster Furuya as the ace. He wants to make Furuya into a Mei. He wants to make Furuya into Mei and say, no, he's like, Kunitomo did that with Mei. He fostered him. He made him work through all his problems. When he had that pitch at Nationals, he made him work through it because he knew the potential that he had. But here's the thing about Inashiro. He made the comment later on, and I'll bring it up again about the whole thing with the caliber of the team and holding players back. The thing about Inashiro is Mei is not the only strong-ass player on that team. Harada, Carlos, Shirakawa, even the other pitcher, and then some of the other players, they're all really strong too. So you have a lot of high-caliber players on that team. So you can foster Mei as the ace, but you're still not leaving behind the rest of your team. Ochiai seems like he just wants to foster Furuya and say, forget Kawakami and Sawamura. Forget them. They'll maybe go on the field. They'll maybe go on the mound. I want to focus and make Furuya pitch throughout the entire game and make him do it. And I'm like, okay. Sure thing. But I think, and we're going to talk about this, I think Furuya's problem is he needs a rival. He needs something to push him. Furuya needs somebody to tug at him, to push him to be better. Because in this game that he had, he was like, I'm doing really good. I've got this. Furuya gets out of his own head, and then he doesn't pitch well because he's not focused. Like, he's not worried about Sawamura coming onto the mound or Kawakami coming on the mound. He's like, I got this. I'm the ace. And then he loses it. And my fear would be if Ochiai did this strategy, he'd find out that Furuya needs competition. He needs somebody to push him, just like Sawamura needs somebody to push him. And so I feel like having Sawamura up there pitching against him, because in all the games leading up to this, this set of episodes, there's been that rivalry between Sawamura and Furuya. And you see, like, the flames coming off Furuya whenever Sawamura pitches. And you see the flames coming off Sawamura or the flames coming off Furuya whenever Sawamura pitches. The flames coming off Sawamura whenever Furuya pitches. But in this set of episodes, you didn't see that. Because it wasn't happening. You didn't see the flames around Furuya like you normally do. Because there wasn't any competition. He was the ace. He got it. What does he have to work for now? He made it to the top. Can you stay on top? I don't know. That's the big dilemma, right? The big dilemma is he's made it to the top, but now he has to stay there. And I don't know if Furuya can. I think he needs that healthy competition. The fact that, now that I'm thinking about it, the fact that we didn't see those like blue flames around Furuya this whole set of episodes, and we only saw the red flames around Sawamura when he was getting made fun of, I felt so bad when those guys at the top of the stairs were talking trash about him. I was like, oh, that was awful. Awful. But yeah, they need each other to have that rivalry, to push each other forward. And I feel like since Furuya didn't have that, he just faltered. He didn't have anything to focus on, right? Because he wasn't worried about getting taken off the mound. And then he was. So, but yeah, Haruichi being so sweet, saying he was going to bring him a drink later. That was really cute to Sawamura when he was practicing. I thought that was adorable. Like, Haruichi... Here's the thing, y'all in the comments have been like, Haruichi would be a great captain. He would be. Now that I think about it, I can't believe I forgot about him, but Haruichi would be a great captain. I think he would be awesome for that role, to be honest. But yeah, and then Chris Senpai showing up like a damn white knight, like a glorious ray of sunshine with his white unbuttoned shirt. I was like, oh my God, yes. And then the final lesson. So... Him telling Sawamura about the pitch that he wanted him to learn from the start. We'll talk about that. So starting episode 72, the final lesson, we get that flashback about Ochiai saying the quickest way to nationals is to get Furuya to become the indisputable ace. And that's the thing, the quickest way. But I love that Kataoka stands his ground and he's like, I am not here for a team, for the one person. I'm here to build our entire team up, not to focus on one person, have one person carry the whole team. Because I don't think Furuya could do it. I really don't. I think Kataoka realizes that. I think he knows Furuya can't carry the whole team. Because here's the thing. Mei can carry the whole team. Because Mei has the tenacity and the focus of Furuya when he's on a good day. But he also has the communication and the power and soul of Sawamura. Mei is like a combination of Sawamura and Furuya. He like has that soul to him. Whereas Furuya's not quite there, and neither is Sawamura. That's why they need the relay, because they don't have that one indisputable ace. I think that Sawamura and Furuya could each become the ace in their own right and just, swap it back and forth and just fight over it. But neither of them are going to be like Mei, I don't think. Not to the extent that Mei is. Right? And so, man, the idea of, I'm looking at my notes are like just garbage, but the ace, the ace status. And Furuya almost seems like the ace status is getting to him. I can't hate Furuya. I can't. I talked about in the last set of episodes, I can't hate him because he's not done anything wrong. Furuya's not been mean to Sawamura. He's not said bad things behind his back. He's not... When he asked him for the ball, that was a little bit cold, but then Sawamura turned into the cold sun right back, and it was like, ooh. But I can't be mad at Furuya because Furuya's not... He's not done anything inherently wrong. He's just doing the best that he can, and he's had really good days, but I feel like the ace status maybe is getting to him a little bit, and he needs that competition. He needs somebody to keep spurning him onward, right? So, I love the friendship that's developed between Zono and Haruichi. I love that. It's probably been one of my favorite things about these last couple episodes, is that Haruichi needed somebody after his brother left the team. I'm glad that Zono stepped in to kind of be like a mentor to him. That's really cool. And I like that Kanemaru agrees to help Sawamura. That's really good. I'm glad that happens. Even though he's like, why are you pitching away? We find out that the last pitch that Chris wanted, the final lesson, is that Chris wanted to teach him a low and away pitch. So that if you don't want to pitch to the inside, you don't have to. And there was that cut to Miyuki telling him that... Miyuki was trying to tell him that he needed an option in case of pitching inside, because pitching inside's always been Sawamura's thing. And now that he's got this mental block, he needs to develop this other strategy. And so Miyuki was trying to say that to him. He just couldn't figure out how to word it properly. And of course, Chris Senpai, who's an excellent communicator, has his master's in communications for all we know, was able to do that. So that was good. And then I like that from that lesson, Sawamura says, I still have so much to learn. It's like, yes, we still have 2 more seasons of Ace of the Diamond. Of course you have stuff to learn. Of course you do. But I like that Kataoka, Sawamura, and Chris are all on the Kataoka, Chris, and Miyuki are all aboard the Sawamura train. They all want him to do well, and they all believe in him. And so it's like, I wish Sawamura could see that. I wish he could see the 3 of them together watching him and having faith in him. I wish he could see that. But... yeah. So the idea of Furuya not having any competition. Interesting. And that they barely won. Ochiai is a Furuya fanboy for sure. Ochiai is a Furuya fanboy all in all. And I think he's only seeing Furuya's potential. He's not seeing Sawamura. I know, and it's smart that they want Furuya to like train for the nationals and being a professional player. And he certainly could. But... the idea that Furuya needs competition, that's what I had on here. No competition. Furuya needs that competition to keep doing well, and that they barely won. And yeah, 4-6, Kataoka was pissed. He was so mad. We've not seen Kataoka really get super frustrated, but that in talk with them, whew, that was rough. And I like the fact that they said Nori saved it. That Kawakami, I like that Kawakami's got out of his funk. He pitched for 9 innings and was able to get out of the funk and help them save the game. I'm glad that Nori has gotten out of his funk. He's better. I'm glad. Thank goodness. But yeah, the idea that Furuya needs to develop consistency. That he goes all out and he has control of the ball, but he doesn't have control of his own pacing. And Ochiai was like, oh, I would have just let him play. I would have just let him go for it. Like, let him figure it out. Sure. I'm like, what? I'm like, what if you'd lost? And he's like, oh, he'll get better. I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, I get kind of where Ochiai's coming from, that he needs to gain that stamina. But I'm like, Ochiai's only seeing part of the picture, and Kataoka and them have been with Furuya since the beginning. So that's interesting. And I like that Tamba shows up and gives that lecture, and then everybody's like, do you have any right to talk? I love that Rio and them look at him like, did you not take your own advice? And he's like, it's different. I'm on the sidelines now. I can speak my coach's advice more freely, and it makes sense now. It's like, I love it. So then we get Ochiai talking about that the way, because Kataoka yells at him, because he's pissed. He yells at him, he makes them all run, and he's like, that's such an old-fashioned way of training. And if your team was of the same caliber, it would make sense. But he's clearly implying that Furuya is the best one and nobody else matters. And I'm like, but well, I'm like, but... And he does make the point. He says the team's not weak. And Ochiai's strategy makes sense to an extent where you're like, yeah, sure. Furuya, if you developed him as the ace and he would lead the team, sure. But here's the problem. We, the audience, are rooting for Sawamura as the protagonist, which goes against Ochiai's whole plan. So I'm like, Ochiai is treating Furuya as the protagonist. We're treating Sawamura as the protagonist. So our goals as audience members watching is different than his goal as a character. And the thing is, too, my problem is with Furuya. I like Furuya as a character, and I can't hate him. I can't. He's just a prodigy, and him being the ace, it doesn't frustrate me, But my thing is, I don't think Furuya has the spirit like Sawamura does. He doesn't have the heart of an ace. Like I said in the last set of reactions, Furuya wants to be the ace because it means he gets the most time on the mound. That's all it means to him. And so I don't think that Furuya quite understands. And Miyuki kind of calls him out during the game. He's like, are you just pitching for yourself? Like, what about the team? And he calls him out on it. And I think Furuya just views the ace position as that means for him to get to pitch the most. And he is selfish about that. But you get it. Whereas Sawamura, I think because Sawamura has grown up as a team player, Sawamura does take the team in mind. And I think Sawamura would be a better indisputable ace than Furuya because he would view the team as a whole, whereas I think Furuya gets kind of stuck in his own bubble sometimes. And you can't hate him for it. You get it, and it's not harmful necessarily, but I think Sawamura would make the better ace. But we ain't getting there anytime soon, I'm sure. But yeah, so Ochiai, that whole thing, we get 2 bombshells at the end of this episode that's kind of insane. The first being that Ochiai just calls Furuya and Miyuki out at the end of it and kind of lays on the table his strategy and kind of gives hints that he's going to be taken over. Because he tells Furuya, he's like, just wait a little bit longer. And I'm like, Miyuki ain't dumb. Miyuki's not dumb. It may go over Furuya's head because Furuya's going to be like, huh? Miyuki ain't dumb. He's going to be thinking, why did he say that? What is he talking about? Because he basically just implied that once I'm coach, then you're going to be pitching all the time. And you're going to be the indisputable ace. That's what he's implying. And Miyuki's not dumb. He's going to figure that out. So, up until now, the only ones that have known that Kataoka is resigning is Ochiai, the principal, the manager, and Rei. They've been the only ones that have known. But now, I'm sure Miyuki's going to catch on and tell everyone. And then Yuki. They told Yuki at the end, because Yuki said he was going to go to M University, which is Kataoka's alma mater. And I love that. I love the idea that Yuki's following Kataoka's footsteps. If one day Yuki could coach like Kataoka coaches, my heart, I would love that so much. I would love that so much. But he's going to the same university as Kataoka. And that's when they basically imply that, oh, we've got this new team coming up in the spring. And Yuki's like, wait, what? And they're like, well, he's going to find it. Well, it's fine. They're all going to find out eventually. I don't know, but the next 3 episodes are leading up to the season finale, and I feel like everybody by the end of the season is going to find out that Kataoka's leaving at the end of the fall. And that Ochiai is going to be the new captain, the new coach. And I don't know how to feel about that. I like Ochiai as a character. He's intriguing. Here's the problem. If Furuya was our main character that we were following throughout this series, I would think Ochiai's strategy would be great. I'd be like, oh, sure, you want to focus on Furuya and develop him as the ace? Great, he's our main protagonist. Go for it. But because Sawamura is our main protagonist, I'm really torn because I'm like, in Ochiai's eyes, if he takes over and Sawamura isn't any better, he's going to just boot Sawamura off the entire roster. He's going to say, get out. We don't need you. And let somebody else come in. I don't know how to feel about that, y'all. I don't. I really don't. This set of episodes didn't leave me as heartbroken as the last set did, but it left me feeling a little bit worried. Just a wee bit. Yeah, just a wee bit. I'm so curious now. And y'all said season 2 is better than season 1, so I'm like, okay. I do want to say that we do have the next set of episodes And then there are 3 OVAs that tie to season 1. I know there's some season 2 OVAs. I'm going to wait on those. But I think that the week after this, we're going to watch the OVAs for season 1, the 3 OVAs. If I can find them, I've got to find them. I've heard they're probably on some sketch site. I'll wade through the pornographic images so I can watch these OVAs. Don't you worry. But, and then after that, I've been told that the first 3 episodes of season 2 are recap. And then, so I'll probably watch those on my own time and just talk about them as we lead into episodes 4, 5, and 6. And it'll probably just say in the headliner, episodes 1 through 6, or episodes 4, 5, and 6 with discussion of review of episodes 1 through 3. Or it may say episodes 1 through 3 review, episodes 4, 5, and 6 reaction, something like that. Yeah, I'm not going to leave it out. My OCD is like, I can't leave out 1 through 3, even though they're recaps. I can't do it. But yeah, holy cow. I'm curious to know your thoughts on this episode, or this set of episodes. This was quite interesting. Lots to think about. I can't wait to talk to y'all about it. I probably will definitely wait until the Patreon comments to see what y'all say about this before I watch the next set. But yeah, we're almost to season finale, y'all. I can't believe we're here. I can't believe we're 72 episodes into this series, and it's still as fresh and exciting, and I'm so damn curious what's going to happen. Yeah. Okay. I guess we'll find out, won't we? In the meantime, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week with more Ace the Diamond. Bye.